welcome to 2026 in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America. And is there any more fitting a venue to kick off a season than here at Sebring International Raceway? I don't think so. My name is Peter Mackay. I'll be taking you through the whole season here in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America. And joining me, a voice that's very familiar to the IMSA radio and TV airways, Ryan Marine. Ryan, the air of anticipation and excitement and a little bit of, shall we say, worry in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America paddock is absolutely palpable because we're going into the unknown now, race distance with a brand new race car.
Oh, so exciting. New car, new tire partner in Pirelli, and the reviews have been glowing from everyone since they first got their hands on this car at the Open Series test about a month or so ago right here at Sebring. It's carried over through the practice sessions, through qualifying. Track record type of pace out of this new car right out of the box. And now the question is, what will these races look like? We're about to find out.
That we are. Well, as I mentioned, Sebring is just dripping in history from its every pore. But it's not all just about the stories, it's about this surface here, right in the center of Florida. We've been racing here for 76 years. The 12-hour has been running for 74 years. 17 terms with names like Gurney, Fangio, Collier, Cunningham. These are all names which are all part of the rich tapestry, not just of American sports car racing, but global sports car racing. And Porsche, 19 victories here at the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, but so challenging. Turn 1, super quick in these Porsche Carrera Cup North America cars, tipping in at 155 miles an hour. Then you get down towards turn 7, a great chance to maybe slip on the brakes using that new superior braking performance of this new 911 Cup to switch by. And then Sunset Bend, the corner of 1,000 lines, as they often call it. It is a real cracker. The cars are already making their way around on the pace lap. We're behind the Pirelli P0 pace car, a beautiful Porsche 992.2 GT3, I'm sure, equipped with the right rubber too. Of course, you can get a Pirelli tyre factory fit on pretty much any Porsche in the range. Tyler Maxon on pole position, Ryan, and what a job he did in qualifying.
Oh, fantastic. He was the Vice Rookie of the Year a year ago. It was a really good season, won a couple of races, but we feel like it's wide open in the pro class. Top 3 in the championship have moved on to pastures new, and he has slotted in nicely just ahead of the Rookie of the Year of a year ago, Aaron Johnson, and what a pole lap it was, shattering the track record and really blitzing the rest of this field.
Well, we have 27 cars and 3 different categories here, so let's look through the grid for this first round of the Porsche Carrera Cup North America season. Tyler Maxon then for top racing starts on pole with his main rival Aaron Johnson for Kelly Mawson Racing for Children's right along beside him. Then it's Jared Thomas, a big step forward for Jared and the JTR Motorsports engineering crew. They're loving this new Porsche 911 Cup. They'll start along beside the impressive young teenager Paul Bocuse for Kelly Moss. Then it's Cole Clegg and Callum Hedge making his debut in Porsche Carrera Cup North America, coming one of many drivers that have come over from New Zealand to take part in this champion, including the reigning champion, Ryan Yardley, or outgoing champion, maybe more accurately. Connor Bloom will start from 7th alongside Janis Stiak. Then it's Sabre Cook and JCD Dubet. Patrick Mulcahy will start in 11th. Then it's Marco Cironi and Jean Jodoin. Nikita Lastikin rolls off from 14th. Then it's Richard Edge and Alan Metney. Chris Palomo and Rob Walker head towards the end of the top 20. Then it's Scott Blind and James Sofronas. Caden Kelly will start from 21st. Then it's John Getz, Alan Scalzo, Josh Conley, Brady Berman, Kevin Stadler and Alex Pratt will start at the back of this 27-car grid. Drivers making their way around towards Le Mans Curve and onto the Ullman Straight. Alec Ullman, that vision he had along with his colleagues all the way back in the late 1940s to bring endurance racing to the United States, the racing that they enjoyed so much over at Le Mans. They succeeded quite quickly, and it has held the test of time. But here in Porsche Carrera Cup North America, Ryan, the tension is building so much, the start of a brand new year.
Well, so much at stake, so much work has been put in the off-season preparing for this new challenge, the new cars, the new tires. And it all really culminates here. A championship bid begins right here. 40 minutes on the clock, first race of the season. Lights out on the Pirelli P0 safety car. We're about ready to go.
We are. Our race brew pole sitter, Tyler Maxon, will lead us away. And on the flag stand, the CEO of Privé, Shea Holscher, a big Porsche fan herself. She's not just going to wave the flag, she's going to give it a big old wave and promised that she's going to go for it here to lead these 27 Porsche 911 GT Cups into action. Then 40 minutes on the clock. Green flag is waved and Tyler Maxon hits the loud pedal and gets the jump as they head towards turn 1 with Aaron Johnson in the number 24 car looking to the inside but not close enough to Maxon. But here comes Jared Thomas in the 96. Jared Thomas up the inside at turn 1 and looks like he's going to get this place as they head towards Christensen, but Maxon's away at the front. Johnson tries to go deep on the brakes but Jared Thomas says no way. They know each other well from other IMSA series as they head through Masters pole sitter there, Rob Walker also, then Tyler Maxon heading out now, leading the way through Gurney Bend, but great start for Jared Thomas into second.
Oh, that was really opportunistic. He saw the door open up to the inside, down into turn 1. He got alongside Johnson and he made the move stick. Now sets off in pursuit of Tyler Maxon. Meanwhile, it's 3 wide down into the hairpin.
Big lunge from Janis Stiak, the Carrera Cup Deutschland star, making his debut here today and making his presence known early on as he's fighting away with the number 78 of Cole Kleck. They're side by side now heading into Cunningham. Kleck takes the position back and Sabre Cook in the Privé car trying to make her way through. No, not quite, but putting the threat in there as they go through Cunningham, already round to the latter part of the lap into Tower Corner. Good start as well. Callum Hedge up to 4th place.
How about that? His first race in this championship, but he's a former Carrera Cup champion in his own right down in Australia. Spent the last couple of years racing at Indy Next, the rung below IndyCar in the North American open wheel ladder system. He says he feels like he's back home in a tin top. This is where he wants to be.
Jared Thomas going to try and go for the lead now. Tyler Maxon is under huge pressure here as the JTR Motorsports engineering machine right underneath the rear wing of of Maxon's top racing machine. They go through the Ullman Straight now on the brakes into Sunset Bend, and here comes Thomas. Here comes Thomas. What a great move there. Now, can he make it stick though as Maxon tucks in that little bit tighter? They're side by side as they come to the start-finish line. Maxon looks like he's got his nose ahead as they're still side by side. Who is going to be the bravest then? Coming down into turn 1, Thomas up the inside, and Thomas leads at Sebring then. Maxon drops back to second.
That's a pass that didn't end until turn 3, but it started all the way back in turn 16 when Thomas was able to keep it tucked really close under the rear wing of Maxon. That's been one of the talking points. Revised aerodynamics, specifically on the front of these Porsches. The hope was that there wouldn't be so much aero wash effect when running in traffic, that you'd be able to stay closer, maybe set up some slipstream passes. That's exactly how it played out. But give Maxon credit. He didn't go quietly. He fought that tooth and nail. Ultimately, though, nothing he could do, and Thomas has gone to the lead.
Well, Jared Thomas, they brought his team into this championship last year, got to know the car, the 992.1 at that time, but of course was a little bit behind the 8-ball really, because all the other teams had been in the championship for so long, but they knew this would be a reset. New tyre package with Pirelli this year, and of course a brand new Porsche 911 Cup, and they really seem to have unlocked the speed from it. Loves the front end, great mechanical grip from the combined tyre package. It's all wide. Whoa, Jared Thomas has a massive moment coming out the exit of Tower there. It's really sandy on the exit. The rear of the car started to step away. Maxon not quite able to capitalise, but that will have raised the blood pressure of Jared Thomas by quite a bit.
It's a good thing he had already built a pretty healthy lead. Keep an eye on the leader here in replay. Coming through the corner, just dips those left sides off into the dirt. You can see he is by no means the first driver to do that here this weekend, or indeed over the last few weeks. There's been a lot of track activity here at Sebring. There's a big rut down there, and as that develops over the course of the weekend, you can bottom that car out over the curb if you tip the left-hand tires off the side of that curb. Looks like he got away with it and will hang on to the lead, but Maxon's on the charge.
Maxon trying to get that position back from Jared Thomas, that race brew pole position he'd worked so hard for. and Thomas defending hard going through turn 1 at the moment. So it's Thomas from Tyler Maxon. Then in third, it's Aaron Johnson in the number 24 Kelly Moss car. Then it's Callum Hedge, the newcomer, the Kiwi, in fourth there. Rounding out the top 5 is Paul Bocuse.
Some penalties handed down for start infractions from race control, including a false start penalty, 10 seconds post-race. That's going to Alan Scalzo. He was lined up in the wrong column. Also a penalty to Kevin Statlander. He'll get a penalty 10 seconds post-race as well for a false start. So he got moving a little bit too soon. So a misfortune there for those two already. We also have an incident under review. We'll get to that in a moment. Keep an eye out towards the back. We'll see if anybody jumps too soon. You can't break column until the start-finish line. And there you see Statlander doing exactly that. And that's what's going to draw the penalty. Now a spin. Car around, I believe that's Scalzo. It is. Scalzo. So he's got the penalty coming, plus he goes for a bit of a ride. Looks like he didn't hit anything, though, and able to continue on.
Well, it doesn't rain, it pours. And Scott Blind, reigning champion in Masters, there's an incident between him and car number 68, Chris Palomo, and Chris Palomo has been handed a 10-second post-race penalty. So straight away, very quick decision there from race control. Scott Blind sitting third in the Masters category at the moment. Now, we have 3 categories, Pro, Pro-Am and Masters. The Pro cars can be signified by their orange accents on the front splitter. Then Pro-Am is green, and then in Masters they are yellow. So whether you're watching around the circuit or indeed in our pictures on IMSA TV, you can follow which car is in each class. They all start, certainly in terms of technically, they're all exactly the same. They arrive from Porsche Motorsport in exactly the same trim. It's all just where the age of the driver goes in. But one great story, Ryan, is Alan Metney, double champion in Pro-Am. He has decided, you know what, I've dominated Pro-Am, I've got all the records, I'm going to go in the Pro. He would actually qualify for Masters. Amazing, when you've got to be over 50 years old.
Yes, and because he found himself mixed up with all the Pro cars quite frequently last year anyway, he's elected to run in the Pro class this year. That'll be a fun story for us to track throughout the course of the season. Penalty, by the way, handed down to Chris Palomo. That was for contact with another car. I believe it was car 45, Scott Blind. That was the other car involved.
Yeah, it was.
And race control adjudicating on that. Did want to also mention that Caden Kelly did not take the start here today. Evidently, he's feeling under the weather. So, Caden, if you're watching, hopefully you feel better tomorrow and can take part in the second race of the year.
Jared Thomas pulling away at the front, and Maxon now under pressure for Aaron Johnson for second. Now, Scott Blind was on the outside on lap 1. Chris Palomo just ran him out of road a little bit. Yeah, quite a lot of contact, and Blind had to go, whoa, all 4 wheels off the road onto the sandy area off the side of the road, and lost quite a bit of time there as well, and could have very easily ended up in the fence there. So Palomo getting handed a 10-second penalty very quickly from race control. They're laying down the law early, saying we're not going to tolerate that. They've done it before, and they will do it again if necessary. Onto the Almond Straight they go then. 8 minutes down, 32 minutes to go. It's Jared Thomas in the number 96 who leads with the 77 blue and yellow Apex top racing machine of Tyler Maxon. Then it's Aaron Johnson in third. Callum Hedge is fourth, and Paul Bocuse rounds out the top 5. Meanwhile, the 23 of Connor Bloom battling away with JCD Dubé there for going into Sunset for 9th position as Tyler Maxon sets the fastest lap of the race, a 2:02.842.
Top 3 starting to tighten up here as we approach 10 minutes rather gone in the first race of the season. Thomas from Maxon from Janson, who also is getting stronger as the race progresses. Just about a second covering that top 3. Then it's Callum Hedge and Paul Bocuse who's doing a nice job. This is a big step forward for him here in year number 2. He's from just down the road in Orlando. I suspect a lot of friends and family are here to watch the young 18-year-old.
Thomas then on the brakes into hairpin corner down at turn 7. Jared Thomas, Tyler Maxon right in between him and Aaron Johnson. Had a great season last year, particularly the second half of the season, winning the Rookie Championship. I think what was most important, Ryan, for Aaron, and I think why he's been given this promotion to the Racing for Children's car, is the last part of the season. 6 races to finish the season. He was on the podium 5 times.
Exactly, including that first win, which he got at Indianapolis. That was a big breakthrough for Aaron. Highest returning driver from the championship a year ago in the Mobil 1 Pro class, and a lot of expectations on his shoulders. You made reference to the fact he's in that Racing for Children's livery. That is the tentpole entry for Kelly Moss each and every year. And right now, giving it a pretty good ride. This would be a 6th podium in the last 7 races dating back to last year if he can hang on.
Well, that car, that number 24 Racing for Children's machine, that has held the race lap record since the very first year of Porsche Carrera Cup North America when Seb Prio was driving it, a 2:02.9. Well, that's been wiped out after 5 long years. Tyler Maxon takes that race lap record. He's got the qualifying record now, and now he has the race lap record, 2:02.842.
Another driver to watch, sorry Peter, in the Pro-Am class, the veteran James Safronis. He's the man behind GMG. Last year ran a partial schedule, but still picked up 3 wins. And even though he's second at the moment, he's going to be a happy guy because his driver, Patrick Mulcahy, leads in that Pro-Am class. James, I've known him for a long time. He's been at this game for a long time. He's a passionate racer, but if his team is doing well, that's what makes him the happiest. And right now, he's got his driver, Patrick Mulcahy, out in front in class.
Rob Walker in the JTR Motorsports Engineering, number 53. Herbie the Love Bug has a little look going towards turn 1 at the number 68 of Chris Palomo. That is for 4th in the Masters class. Very competitive Masters class this year. More cars than we saw last year in that category. Richard Edge leading that way just from Marco Ciurroni at the moment. Not such a good start to the day, though, for Scott Blinn. We saw him totally dominate last season in that number 45 Ruckus Racing car with 12 out of 16 race wins. But in qualifying, he just was a little bit out to lunch, unfortunately. It just hasn't clicked quite this weekend.
Yeah, surprise. By the way, a mea culpa. Mulcahy drove for GMG last year. He's with ACI this year, so sorry about that. But you're right. It's been a long time since something hasn't quite gone Scott Blinn's way in a single-make Porsche series. He won 4 championships last year across Carrera Cup, Sprint Challenge North America, Sprint Challenge USA West, and the Endurance Challenge. Was awarded at the Porsche Night of Champions with a forever first diamond ring. It was a first-of-its-kind award that was handed out to him to recognize the season that he had a year ago. Just a remarkable year that you kind of wonder, how do you back that up? It's almost anything is going to be a disappointment after that.
Well, it might be a disappointment now for Jared Thomas, because here comes Tyler Maxon. He just set another fastest lap of the race with a 2:02.6, and he goes to the front then, or does he? Jared Thomas cuts back. Looked like Maxon had just got the position. They're side by side, but Thomas is on the inside as they go into the rapid turn 1. 155 miles an hour at that point in 5th gear, and Thomas hangs on, but Maxon's got him under pressure, and all this means, all that shuffling about, has brought Aaron John Son back into the game in that Racing for Children's car. So 1, 2, 3 really close together. We wondered, Ryan Marine, if we were going to see these cars race closer together than the previous car, a little bit more mechanical grip. It appears it is. Great for us.
Yeah, love what we're seeing here, and the drivers have been really complimentary of that as well. One other thing, as we get closer to the second half of the race, new Pirelli tire this year, new tire partner for this championship, and while the peak grip of this tire, from what I've been told, is not super different from what we've seen in the past, the peak is sustained longer. So if you're not seeing, for instance, front tire wear, then the deeper into the race you go, the closer you'll still be able to follow the car in front, and we might be able to see some sustained battles over the course of 40 minutes in a way that might not have been the case in previous years.
It's all about. 3 drivers, all very close, and Callum Hedge cannot be written off here either. 2.5 seconds off the lead, sitting in 4th and not far behind this fight for the podium. 26 minutes left on the clock here at Sebring. It's round 1 of the Porsche Carrera Cup North America for 2026. This was where this championship began back in 2021 on this hallowed surface. that is Sebring International Raceway, a place that's so synonymous with Porsche history. Porsches have been racing here since 1954 and haven't been stopping coming back ever since. And this is the very latest car to come out of Weissach, along with the GT3R, which the new Evo GT3R, which debuted at Daytona.
Yeah, and I think has high expectations for the race here on Saturday. But right now, all eyes on this battle for the lead as Maxon takes the lunge to the inside. Thomas gives him just enough room to coexist at the apex. This time, Maxon is to the inside. He'll have the preferred line if he can stay there.
Maxon did have that inside line, and Thomas lets him go. Thomas has to yield, maybe more accurately, and then a more defensive line coming through turn 5 for Tyler Maxon. So Maxon, the race crew pole sitter and holding the K1 speed fastest lap at the moment, he hits the front, but Jared Thomas says, not going to lay down that easy. Aaron Johnson watching, going, they might just be a spectator for a minute, let you guys figure this out, and then I might come in and spoil the party at the end. Maxon having to hold a very defensive line there, and that then compromises Jared Thomas, and here comes Johnson now. There's another series in the IMSA package that this more reminded me of. This is brilliant though, absolute barnstormer here for round 1 at Sebring.
Top 3 nose to tail in the Mobile 1 Pro class. Maxon now leading the way. Jared Thomas slipping back a little bit. That car was lightning quick out of the gate, but it might be falling off somewhat relative to the competition. And then Aaron Johnson, you see the snake in the grass, just waiting for his opportunity to strike.
So qualifying, the drivers in the past, they've been running 3 different sets of tyres on and off in qualifying. Only 2 different sets of tyres were used by most of the main drivers in qualifying, because the tyre takes a little bit longer to come up to temperature, but it's got a wider window. It's more longevity than we've had in the past, this Pirelli tyre. But we don't know what it's like over great race distance. I'm sure the teams have done it in testing, but testing and racing are so different. So this is where, how is it going to play in the second half of the race? Maxon now starting to pull a couple of car lengths away from Jared Thomas, with Johnson right there in 3rd position as they come over the line. 206.6 the fastest lap at the moment. 203.2 that time by for Maxon, and much quicker than Thomas. In fact, 1.1 seconds quicker than Thomas and half a second quicker than Johnson in 3rd. So now he's starting to pull the pin.
This is the kind of pace we've seen out of that car, going back to qualifying, some of the practice sessions as well. His statement of intent came quite early this weekend. Now that he's clear of the traffic, Maxon is starting to check out. The fight has become the battle for second now instead of the battle for the lead, and Thomas is going to have to play a little bit more defense once again. Aaron Johnson is absolutely reeling him in, and Callum Hedge now too is starting to inch into this picture.
That he is in the number 9 race brew machine for JDX. And Jared Thomas, yeah, he is under excuse me, he is under a lot of pressure right now. Johnson, I think if Johnson's got ambitions to win this race, I think he's got to make this move. He's got to make sure that Tyler Maxon doesn't escape, and Maxon really in his rhythm right now. He was personal best through sector 1 as they come through the sweeping Collier curve and into Tower, and they'll trip sector 2 timing beam as they exit Jean de Bien bend, the left-hander, and we'll know then how much of a gap he's pulling out. Looks like quite a lot to me from our pictures in the Global Broadcast Centre. Maxon looking to stamp his authority on this first round of the championship. Yep, took a couple of tenths of a second out in that middle sector as well.
It's not much, but it's enough to noticeably start to pull that gap. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th tightening up behind him. Thomas, Johnson, and Hedge. And then it's now Cole Kleck up to the 5th spot. I'm not sure we mentioned that just yet, but around Paul Bocuse, who's dropped down to 6th. Here is Cole, a rookie, part of the junior lineup as well, in that 5th position, looking really strong.
Running the same livery, the TCS black and gold livery that Ryan Yardley took to the championship in 2025. They crossed the line then, a 2:02.8 for Maxon, only a 2:03.4 for Jared Thomas, and actually 2:03.6 for Johnson, so actually lost a couple of tenths there to Thomas. The gap now edging up, it's nearly a second and a half, so Tyler Maxon just starting to get a little bit of a grab of control on this race as we approach half race distance, 21 minutes of the 40 to go. Patrick, Mulcahy, the number 54 ACI car, the Juice Head car. Well, he's leading by a country mile at the moment, 18.7 seconds up the road from James Sophronis, who in turn is 11 seconds ahead of the number 29 Kelly Moss machine of Josh Conley.
And really impressive stuff from Patrick Mulcahy. We've seen him do a little bit of GT3 racing over in SRO, but this is the focus here for this year. Hooked up with the new team, as I mentioned earlier, and right now sitting on the fringe of the top 10 overall. Really strong outing thus far.
Car number 18, the blue-white machine coming down. Richard Edge leading the way in Masters at the moment for ACI Motorsport. He's got right behind him, he's got the number 3 car of Nikita Lastiskin, but that's not a fight for class position. The class position he's got to worry about is Marco Cironi, the number 88 car, who's right behind Lastiskin. So Richard Edge has got a bit of a rear gunner here in the form of Nikita Lastiskin.
It's always one of the difficult things when you have multi-class racing, but the cars themselves are identical. It just comes down to, in this case, age, sometimes driver experience. How do you figure out how hard to race in a situation like this? I mean, Lastiskin doesn't want to have another car get around him. That puts him further from the rest of the cars within his class. But on the flip side, you don't want to interfere too much with the class that you're in the midst of here at the moment. So a tricky spot for sure for Nikita. This is the CSM team, Sabak Simpson Motorsport, based out of Indianapolis. We see them in other IMSA series, I think at the GT4 level, but one car effort going up against some of these big multi-car teams. It's going to be a real challenge, I suspect, for them.
Yeah, they run a pair of Cayman 718 GT4 RS Club Sports, one of the many different options you can pick from the catalogue of Porsche Motorsport, the different competition machines that they produce. I mean, theoretically, you could be a customer of a Porsche 963 if you so wish, if you have the appetite for it. GT3R, 911 Cup, GT4 RS Club Sport. There's plenty of different flavours. You can have your Porsche race car all made with the same know-how that's been built up over such a long time. So much competency built up within Porsche Motorsport and indeed Porsche AG overall. But also Scott Blind in that Masters category, he's not too far behind. He's just nibbling tenths away from the leaders. He's only 3 seconds off the lead, but of course has not only Marco Cironi in his class ahead of him, he has Nikita Lastiskin to get by if he wants to take the win away from Richard Egg. Tyler Maxon, though, meanwhile, he's checking out. He's saying, see you later, guys, I'm out of here. He's over 2 seconds up the road, and he's pulling time, 0.4 of a second in the middle sector alone.
And he just did his best middle sector of the race. We're past the halfway mark. I think that goes to demonstrate what we were talking about earlier. The nature of these races has changed somewhat with the new package, tire and car for 2026. The fact that you're able to extract that kind of pace out of a car this deep into one of these sprint races.
And very different conditions from what we saw in qualifying earlier on. We're 20 degrees Fahrenheit more than we were this morning. The track is going to be a lot warmer, and of course we've had the IMSA WeatherTech Championship. We've been out, laid down a lot of different rubber, and also other support series as well, which have laid down another different type of rubber. So the track will be quite different, even though there's only been 5 hours in between. The track's been busy. And
we've not seen conditions like this all weekend with the heat coming up the way that it is now. It's been quite cool in the build-up to today's race. So yeah, it's a lot for the teams and drivers to adapt to with pretty much an empty notebook. It's not like they've got years and years driving this car-tire combination. They've had 1 weekend of testing and then the build-up to this race, and that's it. So everyone's learning on the fly.
Johnson and Thomas really under the gun now from Callum Hedge, the Kiwi car number 9. He's right there in 4th position in that JDX machine, than a young 22-year-old from New Zealand. But Thomas, you know, coming from the rough and tumble of some of the other IMSA series, he knows how to fight in close hand-to-hand combat. Likewise, Aaron Johnson. And of course, Callum Hedge, one driver you're very familiar with, Ryan, from your IndyCar experience.
Yeah, again, 2 seasons of Indy Next, finished 4th in his rookie year, 7th in the championship in his second year, had podiums in both races in what has become an increasingly competitive series. He's also a former the Regional Americas champion back in 2023, but that same year, he won the Carrera Cup Australia Championship. Interestingly, for winning that title, one of the prizes was a chance to go drive on the ice in Finland in a Porsche Cup car, and I asked him about that experience. He said it was the most fun he's ever had. Also, he got to fly business class as like a 19-year-old and realized he probably is not going to get this good again anytime soon.
If you're going to fly business class, you better make sure you keep flying business class, because it's not nice going back, I can tell you. Yes, it's once you've gone up front, it's you can never go back. But number 96, Jared Thomas, trying to hold off Aaron Johnson here. Tyler Maxon is checked out. He's just done a 2:02.7. He's nearly a second quicker than Thomas Johnson and Callum Hedge at the moment. Now, update in the Masters category. Leader Richard Edge has just been, now has he just been passed? No, he's been in a battle with Nikita Lastuskin, and that's allowed the number 88 of Marco Cironi to say thank you very much for the Christmas present, and he goes into the lead of the Masters category now, and that's brought Scott Bin back into the fight. So the Masters category, every bit as close, the Solaris Aviation Masters category, every bit as close as the field at the front.
That's fantastic. Totally shuffle up that field once again. Cironi, that's about as easy of a pass as you're going to get in this series. Congratulations to him, the veteran campaigner. He's been in just about every iteration of the Porsche 911 Cup car. I've got him going back at least to 2010, maybe even earlier than that he's been running in single-bank Porsche competition, won a ton of races, run at the front, and so much experience. Someone you just expect to be able to adapt because he's done it so many times.
Yeah, Marco Cironi, multiple race wins in Porsche Cup Canada, GT3 Cup Canada it was called in those days. Has been in the Pro-Am category for the last couple of years, always been fighting in the top 3 and certainly the top 5, switching from Pro-Am to Masters this year. Must have had a significant birthday. Of course, the Masters category for those of a certain level of life experience. Lastuskin is now going to be the rear gunner, the very helpful rear gunner to Marco Cironi, but meanwhile there's a big old gap. All of a sudden, just huge gap back to Richard Edge. So has there been a problem, another problem for Richard Edge there?
It's a distinct possibility. Maybe he just got out of his rhythm. Hopefully that's the case and he's able to recover. Let's try and see, based on sector times. 2
seconds slower on the lap anyway, the last time by. So yeah, it's dropped off the scent a little bit, and all of a sudden there's only 13 minutes to go. You think 40 minutes, no need to hurry, it's all fine. No, it just goes by in the blink of an eye. Jared Thomas, second place, trying to hold off Aaron Johnson, who hasn't made an attack yet. It's kind of too late now, I think, for unless we see the Pirelli P0 pace car. Is kind of too late now because Maxon, he's up the road. He's 4.5 seconds up the road.
For the win, absolutely. I totally agree. I think Maxon, barring an intervention or barring some kind of uncharacteristic mistake, has this race in his grasp. He's been able to control the pace running where he is, and he's just looked so comfortable over the course of the weekend so far. What's interesting to me is that 10 minutes or so ago, I thought Johnson might have had the measure of Thomas, but now, instead of playing offense, he's forced to play some defense here. Callum Hedge is looking increasingly threatening as we get deeper into the race.
In the Porsche Mobile 1 female driver program, we have Sabra Cook, who's had a great start to the season. Really strong sector times, particularly in the fast corner, but particularly Sector 1 and Sector 3, which are the 2 fastest corners on the track, Turn 1 and Turn 17. She's at the moment right behind Jana Stiak, who has won races at the Carrera Cup Germany level, which is well regarded as the top domestic championship in the world for these cars. So for Sabre, that's got to be encouraging for her to maybe making that step in performance and being able to match someone of Jana Stiek's pace.
Well, for Sabre, she's back with the same team for consecutive years for the first time in her Carrera Cup career. There have been years where she's switched teams midstream. So to have the stability year to year, she said that is a huge boost for her and her development. Worked so hard behind the scenes to put the partners together to go racing, and is giving that car a decent run here with 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, Privé on board for another season with Sabre. The car liveried up beautifully. And the JDX team, Jeremy Dale, very, very impressed with Sabre's professionalism, particularly in running at the moment in 8th position. But no one is anywhere in the same postcode right now as Tyler Maxon. Now, I feel this is a little bit of deja vu, because this is a remarkably similar performance to Riley Dickinson last time we were here in 2025, where put it on the race crew pole position, cleared off in race 1, and he'd be brave to bet against him doing the same again in race 2.
The counterpoint, I suppose, is it's not like it came easy for him. He did lose the lead right at the drop of the green. Jared Thomas super aggressive at the start and controlled the first quarter or so of the race, but since that point, since Maxon got around, there's been no question that he's had the measure of the field. What a difference a year makes. The 2 races here a year ago for Tyler, 8th and 6th, not even in the picture. You go from that to leading this field of really competitive cars and drivers in just a year's time. That speaks to his development in that rookie season.
But this hasn't come from nowhere. This is the form he had in the last half to a quarter of the season. So likewise, Aaron Johnson too. He's at the moment holding onto the podium. Interesting, the number 9, Callum Hedge, has just faded slightly in that middle sector. Was looking strong, but just dropped a little bit back from that podium fight. And he's got, with the lights flashing, Cole Kleck in the number 78 TCS car from Top Racing. He's making full use of the headlight flasher, testing out to see, yep, it still works on the 911 Cup. Yep, definitely, still there.
Well, Cole's a great example of what Porsche calls its motorsports pyramid. You go from club level racing. The first step into the pro ranks would be Porsche Sprint Challenge. Well, a year ago, Cole was the Sprint Challenge Pro-Am 992 Pro-Am champion, driving for Top Racing, for whom now he's graduated up to Carrera Cup. Dabbled with 4 starts in Carrera Cup at the tail end of the year last year, but showing some of that form here that he displayed en route to the title a year ago. And I know Porsche loves to see drivers climbing that ladder, coming up through the pyramid. He's another example of a driver that's done that. Paul Bocuse, another one who has come from Sprint Challenge, actually started at the Cayman level before coming up to the Cup cars, and now in his 2nd year in Carrera Cup.
Aaron Johnson also finding the headlight flasher button on this new Porsche 911 Cup. The inside of the car has come on a long way. All the different buttons and switches. You can. This car does have the switch for the traction control. You have to leave it on 0. You're not allowed to use it in this championship, but it's there. This car is used in 24-hour races and all kinds of different things where that will be allowed. You can, though, play about with the ABS. You can adjust that, and you can adjust that a couple of times a lap, as much as you wish. But all the buttons, it's just been brought up another level. So you go inside a Cup car now, it's like the GT3 of the previous generation. All that development being put into this new machine. And yeah, the headlight flash button, obviously easy to reach as well. A few drivers using it liberally in this session.
Hey, if you got it, you might as well. You talk about, though, this car resembling a GT3 car of not so many years past. The lap times we're producing this weekend, we should reiterate, are already at GT3 pace. It's been so cool to see this kind of performance unlocked from the Evo of the 992 platform that was already really stout, and then the adaptation of the Pirelli P0 DHG tires. It seems to be a really good combination, and well, through the first 3 quarters of the first race of the season, I think all the boxes have been checked.
No doubt they have. That big improvement in mechanical grip, also aerodynamic grip at the front of the car particularly. Everyone's talking about how good the front end of the car is, that little bit of extra power, that more responsiveness from the throttle, and from sort of 20% to 60% throttle. It really, the car is very, very reactive to that. We're going to see lap records tumble all year, I'm sure of that. Marco Cirone leading in at Masters, and he's right behind Nikita and Lashtuskin. Now, of course, Nikita is in the pro class, so Cirone just sitting in there and has a decent gap back to Richard Edge, who hasn't quite been able to recover. He's 2.7 seconds back, although he is keeping the reigning champion Scott Blinn behind him in the ruckus racing. And the thing is, you don't need your spotter or your crew chief to tell you he's behind, because you can't miss him. Oh no, problem for Sabre Cook. What is going on here in the JDX car for Privé as well? Oh no, that looks like there's been some sort of steering damage. It's got the car. Oh no, 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 no. Looks like it's going to be a retirement in race one after running in such a strong position. What has happened to Sabre? Goes for a move at Christensen corner and then catches the back of Janis Stiak. Stiak goes off the road, very nearly ends up in the barrier, but I think in doing so, Ryan Marine, Sabre's perhaps damaged the steering or the suspension there. That's such a shame. Also problem for the number 60 car, Kevin Stadlander, who's just had to let the leaders through. And that is caught out Cole Kleck in the 78. So, in the last 5 minutes, it's all kicking off.
Stadlander was trying to do the gentlemanly thing and let the leaders play through, but Kleck wasn't quite sure how to read that situation and ended up off track. Looks like he was able to continue on, but I think your read is correct for Sabre. Just the contact at the wrong angle at the wrong time, and her day done early. Luckily for Stiak, he was able to continue on. Yeah,
and still able, though, to parallel park the car very neatly in a very small space. So maybe the steering, the suspension, okay, maybe another problem, but it was a very, very quick pull over. It was an instant pull over, and it wasn't drive around for a lap, see if it was fine. It was instantly right behind the wall. So that's such a shame for Sabre Cook here in that Privé machine. So Maxon leading then in the last 5 minutes, 6 seconds to the good. Had a great debut season last year, and well, he is stamping his authority in this very early stage of the 2026 Porsche Carrera Cup North America season. Jared Thomas hasn't been on the podium yet in this championship, so he is in line to get JTR's first ever podium, his own team, right there ahead of Aaron Johnson, last year's rookie champion in that Kelly Moss Racing for Children's car, racing in aid of children with childhood cancer and blood disorders. And a lot of Aaron's crew chiefs, as they're called, the kids from the hospital in Alabama, have got their handprints over the car, and it says on the back of the car, "Catch me if you can." That was one of the kids that wrote that on there. So he's trying hard for them, just above the exhaust pipe on the back left of that car, and looking like a podium at the moment if Johnson can keep a charging Callum Hedge away.
That incident with Stiak and Sabre Cook, that's been ruled upon by race control, and Stiak has been found guilty of blocking and has been given a 10-second post-race penalty. I assume it's for this incident here, but
perhaps one previously, maybe.
Perhaps.
Hard to say. But Sabre Cook immediately pulled the car off onto the grass, stayed well out the way of the other cars coming through. So it looked, although the steering was fine when she was reverse parking the car back behind the wall, but there must be something that she instantly felt.
And then a subsequent penalty has been given to Sabre Cook for that contact. Incident responsibility with drive-through. So there must have been an earlier block on Stiak's part, hence that penalty, and then Cook was adjudged to be at fault for the contact that ended her day. At least that's my read of it.
Well, Janis Stiak making his presence known at the moment in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America on his debut race. That will drop him quite significantly down the order in the Mobile Pro class, but no such problems for Tyler Maxon on the penultimate lap of the race in the number 77 Apex-backed Top Racing machine. Top Racing winners of the team championship last year. Tyler doing a super job, and his teammate Ryan Yardley winning the Drivers' Championship. So they've carried that momentum over. You never know with a winter and a new car and a new tyre package. Is that momentum going to carry over? You bet it is.
Yeah, that's the way it's played out for sure. Any questions about would the new package be a setback for them seem to have been answered in a quite powerful way. I did get a little confirmation that we were trying to figure out about that blocking penalty. That apparently occurred on the front straight, so that was a separate incident. Those two cars, though, found each other a couple of times, and both cars ended up with a penalty, but Cook had her day ended early.
Asking the question about tyre longevity, Jared Thomas on this lap has put in his personal best through sector 1. Now that's a high-speed corner. That shows that the tyre is still performing. We're talking 72 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. After 40 minutes, it's still giving that performance. White flag in the air. Nikita
Lastruskin did the same thing in his car. So 2 cars on that last lap did their best first sector this deep into the run. Final lap for Tyler Maxon. A couple of wins last year. Very nearly came away with the Rookie of the Year. Didn't have a great final round at Circuit of the Americas. The first race in particular cost him dearly as far as that Rookie of the Year championship is concerned, but putting that firmly in the rearview mirror with this dominant performance today.
I'm sure it was a long winter after that, stewing over it, wanting to get the revenge, and what a motivator. Janis Stiak comes over the line at the moment, classified in 8th position, but will drop 10 seconds. That will drop in quite a few positions. We'll confirm that when they come over the line. In Masters, Marco Cirone, after taking full advantage of the little error from Richard Edge. Well, could you even say it was an error from Richard Edge? He just got a little bit tangled up with Nikita Lastruskin, and that just allowed Cirone to pounce and go through. And for Patrick Mulcahy, well, 28 seconds to the good. That's very promising for his championship prospects in Pro-Am.
For Cirone, if I'm not mistaken, this would be his first class win since 2023. He's been on the podium a bunch the last couple of years, but it's been a while since he's been on the top step. He's a veteran. He's been at this for a long time. That would be a remarkable result if he can hang on.
I think we're going to see him and Scott Blind boxing back and forward all season long. What a prospect, not just the Mobile Pro class, but also the Solaris Masters Category 2.
Top 5 in the Masters class are separated by basically 5 seconds at the end of this race. So if this is a snapshot of things to come, sign me right up.
It is. Tyler Maxon then onto the Allman Straight for the final time, a position that many a Porsche driver have been over the years, with the checkered flag waiting just around the corner. Into sunset he goes. He can afford to take it nice and careful. Out of the final corner he goes. Checkered flag for Tyler Maxon, who wins here in round 1 of the Porsche Carrera Cup North America. And it's going to be second place for Jared Thomas, with Aaron Johnson underneath his rear wing as they come over the line. Callum Hedge, 4th place on his Porsche Carrera Cup North America debut. And Cole Click going to come home in 5th position.
Yeah, good stuff there for Cole. Now we wait for the other 2 class leaders.
Patrick Mulcahy, then a dominant performance in Pro-Am in the number 54 Juice Head machine. He comes through 8th overall. That's a superb drive then from Patrick Mulcahy, and moves up a position overall as well, with that penalty for Janis Stiak, who will be classified 11th in the Pro class. So that penalty costing him 3 spots.
Wow.
And then it's the Masters. Marco Cirone gets his first class win in 3 years in Porsche Carrera Cup competition, just ahead of Richard Edge, who was within a second by the end. So had a strong final lap there for Richard Edge. Scott Blind, defending champion, 3rd place, only 1.1 off the win. And on the last lap, Ryan, this Pirelli tyre, it's still got pace to give.
Best final sector of the race for the car of Scott Blind on the last lap. He was pushing for all he was worth to try and get up there in the fight. Still a pretty good title defense start when you consider the way that the beginning of the race played out. He ends up 3rd, scores decent points. He'll take that and move on to tomorrow.
Tyler Maxon, just 21 years old. He's been winning championships in race cars since the age of 15, but he will be wanting to put himself in the conversation to go to that Porsche Junior Shootout at the end of the year. Zach Vanier, of course, went from this series last year. There are many drivers in this category who could be invited. He wants to put himself forward and get that invite, and that is the best way to start off that campaign, with a dominant win. So, Tyler Maxon, your winner by 7.6 seconds from Jared Thomas. Aaron Johnson rounding out the podium for Kelly Moss. A solid start to the season for him. What a debut for Callum Hedge for JDX in 4th. Then it was Cole Clegg rounding out the top 5. Paul Bocuse came home 6th, with Connor Bloom in 7th. And 8th overall for Patrick Mulcahy, and your winner in Pro-Am in the number 54 ACI Motorsports car. John Jodwain in 9th in car number 39. And then rounding out the top 10, Alan Metney. He could be in Masters, but he's in Pro, and overall top 10. Marvellous stuff. JCD Dubets in his debut for JMG is 11th. Then Janis Stiak with that penalty drops to 12th. Nikita Lashtiskin on his series debut was 13th. And the Masters winner for the day, Marco Cirone, just ahead of Richard Edge, who in turn was just ahead of Scott Blind. That is promising for the rest of the year. Rob Walker for JTR comes home in 4th in category. Then it was James Sofronis, Chris Palomo and Alex Pratt. 21st was John Getz with Brady Behrman, Josh Connolly, Alan Scalzo and Kevin Stadland to round out the top 5. And unfortunately, a DNF for Sabra Cook. It looked like it was going to be a strong result, but didn't quite go her way this time. She'll be back tomorrow, 5:40 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have all the coverage here for you on IMSA TV and IMSA Radio. Thanks for tuning in with us. See you tomorrow.